Lesson 5, the last Yama, Aparigraha. Can you feel the meaning of the word? Graha, Aparigraha. In English the word is grabbing. Sounds a little bit similar, graha. Aparigraha is non-coveting, non-desire. Now, it's important to understand what desire actually is. We are human, we are living beings, and desires have a very important function. So that's not the point. The point is that desires tend to control our lives and cause a lot of misery. But technically, a desire is designed to indicate that we need something. When we're hungry, we have a desire to eat. So now you go to the supermarket or the convenience store. In the past, you had to go out into the forest or into the field and hunt or gather fruit and vegetables and mushrooms. And so desire has a function. It tells you that you need something, and it will make you come into action to fulfill that need. So desires, they're not necessarily bad. They do have a function. It's not that you should avoid all desires. But what is important to understand about desire is that desire causes a contraction of energy that it leads people to behave in ugly ways. It causes ugly behavior in people. And if you look at it, and this is the wonderful systematic approach that yoga presents us that most people don't see. Even yoga teachers and students of yoga, they do not see the marvelous logic and systematic approach here. There is a reason why Aparigraha is the 5th Yama and not the 1st or the 2nd. Aparigraha, non-desire, is the 5th Yama because desire leads us to break all 4 previous Yamas. Desire leads us to commit violence to get what we want. It leads us to lie to get what we want. It leads us to steal what we want, and it leads us to fulfill our sexual desire, breaking the 3 previous Yamas: violence, lying, and stealing. The key in dealing with desire is consciousness. Be aware that a desire is stirring in you. Consciously be aware, and then ask yourself how to solve the issue of your desire. So instead of using violence, lying, stealing to fulfill the desires, you look for a way to fulfill your desires without breaking those principles. And you all understand why this is important, I hope, because as practitioners of a spiritual path and philosophy, our most precious asset is energy, not just energy, but harmonious energy. Every time we violate one of those principles, our harmony crashes. We lose our most valuable asset. And the reason why this is important is because spirituality is not possible without that harmonious energy. Almost all problems that we are surrounded with, if we look at our family, if we look at our friends, if we look at our colleagues at the workplace or students in school, almost all the problems that occur between those people, and maybe including you, is because of desire. Ugly behavior is caused by desire. Talking bad about other people behind their back is caused by desire. Everything, the violence, the bullying, the cheating, whether that's cheating in relationships or cheating with tests, it's all caused by desire. The conflicts that you find in your family, you always find that there is desire causing it. Very often it's about money or about influence, about power. But most of the time it's about money, possessions. So, you see on the first page some opposite values. And the first one is to want, which non-desire is not to want. But what it is to hope. We try to replace wanting with hope. Do you understand the difference between those two? Because they're actually opposite. They seem like they are the same, but they're actually opposite. Wanting is in the lowest chakra, in Muladhara chakra. It is an instinctive need to want something. Like a baby who wants something starts to cry. Hope is in the crown chakra, totally opposite to Muladhara chakra. So hope is only something that spiritual people possess. Because wanting is direct. If you have a desire based on wanting, you want it to be fulfilled now, as fast as possible. Hope is based on vision. Hope is in your heart. You carry hope in your heart. You hope that something will happen. You hope that you will achieve something. If you want to achieve things based on desire, greed, you will harm other people in your process to quickly obtain your goal, achieve your goal. But if you base your desires on hope, you will quietly go to work to get where you want to be, to obtain what you want to have, and you will take your time for that. And you will not harm other people in the process. And sometimes it can take years. I'll give you an example. I have many examples based on my own experience. The reason why I came to Korea is because when I was 20 years old, 1 year after I changed my life practicing yoga, I developed an interest in martial arts. So I looked into martial arts, karate, taekwondo, kung fu, and I found Hapkido. Hapkido is a Korean martial art like taekwondo, but I felt more attracted to Hapkido because it has more a spiritual element to it compared to taekwondo. So I found the Hapkido school in Amsterdam, and soon after I started practicing there, they invited a Korean master to come from Seoul. I still sometimes meet him because he's the reason why I came to Korea 26 years ago. But it took me 9 years to come to Korea. 9 years preparation to come to Korea. But my Hapkido buddies, so we started in 1985, I started practicing Hapkido, I was very dedicated, so I was always there 6 days a week from 10 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock in the evening, helping out, doing chores and training a lot, of course. So after 3 years, our Hapkido Kwanjangnim went back to Seoul. And we were very disappointed. We wanted more. So I made a plan to go to Korea, but my Hapkido buddies also made plans to go to Korea. They came to Korea within 1 year. The problem with that is, it was based on desire. And they wanted it fulfilled immediately, as fast as possible. There were about 6 of them. One of them stayed only 4 months. He wanted to stay longer, but he couldn't, because he didn't have enough money. So he had to go back. Another one stayed for 6 months. Run out of money, had to go back. The one who stayed the longest stayed for 1 year, and then had to go back. They all went back to their old life. It was just like a vacation or an adventure, but that's it. But I had a vision. I wanted to go to Korea much more even than they wanted. It was my passion, an obsession. But I had a vision. If I wanted to do it, I wanted to do it right. I didn't want to come back after 6 months. What is 6 months of training? It's nothing. I wanted to have my 5th degree black belt, not just a black belt. I wanted to have 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th degree black belt, ideally. That was my vision. So I thought, I need at least to have enough money to stay at least for 2 years. At least 2 years. But I also thought, people said, if you want to earn money in Korea, you can teach English. And I thought, I don't like teaching English. But people like yoga. So I was already in a training program with Ajita, and I thought, if I finish to the highest level that he is offering, the basic course, 1 year, teacher training course, 3 years, and then a master course, 3 years. If I finish all of this, I am a professional yoga teacher, then I'm ready to go to Korea. And I also thought, I'm going to have to run my own business. So I went to school at night for 4 years, twice a week, to study business administration, economics, and I learned more English. So I was preparing, but I was preparing thoroughly. It was very frustrating. Sometimes I was desperate, thinking it's never going to happen. But in the meantime, I was just very steadily, step by step, I was preparing. I was laying the foundation to go to Korea and to be there and to be ready and not to have to go back. It took me 9 years. They came in 1 year and they had to go back. That is the difference between desire and hope. Following the spiritual path, as you can feel from what I'm telling you, is not easy. And that is why most people simply can't. But it is the right thing to do. If you look at my Hapkido buddies, they're still talking about Hapkido every day. We have a WhatsApp chat group. They still make the same stupid jokes that we made 35 years ago. They still, I moved on. I'm totally not interested anymore. I grew, I developed, I matured. They got older, but they are still the little boys interested in Hapkido that they were 35 years ago. That is when you're on the spiritual path. You're constantly changing, constantly growing, constantly evolving. And that is what makes life worth living. That is what makes life wonderful. But again, it's not easy. All Korean students in school learn about the poem, The Road Not Taken. You know The Road Not Taken? Do you understand what that is about? I don't know the text by heart, but the poem, the content of the poem is as follows. 95% of all people go to the left, and they live a life of comfort, of predictability, of easy living, no challenges, no obstacles, and they love it, but very boring. And they grow fat, and they get sick, and only a small number of people have the courage to go the other path, the road not taken. The question is why? The other path is the spiritual path. It is the road, the path of the heart. When you follow your heart, you are on a spiritual path, because the two are linked. I didn't emphasize it when we talked about non-lying, but it was in the handout. Truthfulness on a personal level to yourself means to start following your heart. Because when you follow your head, you do what your parents taught you to do. You do what your government indoctrinated you to do. You do what your education taught you to do. When you follow your heart, you use everything you learned from your parents and your government and your education, but you follow your own path. And you have your own mind. Now, following your heart is unavoidable for any spiritual person, because if you don't, you will have many conflicts with yourself. Life is like this. This is the road everybody goes. You are born, you grow up, and by the time that you graduate, the only thing you care about is having a job, a career, buying a house, getting married and start a family, because everybody does that. And your parents will tell you that's what you must do. And the government makes you believe that that is what you must do. And most people, having no courage because they have no energy in the crown chakra, they have no choice. Because this is the path of stability for them. It gives them security, stability, certainty. But there are no challenges. So people get a big belly. So people become bold. Well, I became bold because of being very unhappy. I became bold because I tried to be on this path. I was 25 and I started losing hair. I tried to be on this path. And it made me super unhappy. The happiness came back when I said, if I don't go to Korea now, I will regret it for the rest of my life. So now is the time to go. And I went when I was 33 years old. The road not taken is this way. Here, it's 90, let's say 98, I don't know. Just let's dramatize it a little bit. 2% goes this way. That's you and me. Why? Because we have energy in the crown chakra. We develop a feeling of what we have in the heart. And your family and your friends will say, why don't you just live a normal life? Why don't you just do as you are told to do? Why do you always have to do differently? Why are you so stubborn? They will say. If you follow your heart, you have your own mind, you have your own ideas about how to do things and what you want to do with your life. And whatever other people say, they will not change your mind. But this is the road of following your heart is full of obstacles and challenges, lots of failures and successes. Why would you want to be on this path? Because you're fearless and you realize this is what makes you happy. Remember, life is all about energy. Remember the story about Yubin, who was forced to come to yoga class because her father wanted her to be a sports professional, star. It killed her. It killed her spirit. I honestly wonder if she's still alive. People who are on this path, you see them in the street, you see them in your office, maybe in your family. They have no joy. They have no happiness. They get their happiness from material things. But real happiness, friendliness, love, they don't have. When you're on this path, there are many good things about this. Because somebody who is on this path thinks that all the obstacles and challenges here are bothersome, distracting. But we know being on this path is not an option anymore, because it kills your spirit. It literally kills your spirit. You're here where you want to be, your energy is here. When you follow your heart, following your heart is spiritual. It makes energy go up because you feel enthusiastic. You feel inspired. You're happy to do what you want to do, like a little child. The obstacles and challenges that normal people see as negative, you see as positive. Why? Because they are your teachers. Every time you bump into challenges, you learn. You learn new things about yourself. You learn new things about life. You learn new things about how to get where you want to be in your life. And that is why spiritual people naturally tend to go the road not taken. It is related to desire, because desire is what fuels us in life. It's what drives us in life. But the difference is we start doing this consciously. And in the beginning, for most people will say, I want to follow my heart. But how do I do that? How do I know whether it's my heart or just a thought? It's not so difficult, although it requires practice. And if you fail, that's fine, because failure teaches you a new lesson. Don't be afraid to fail. Following your heart means following whatever it is that makes you enthusiastic. Follow whatever it is that makes you feel happy. Follow whatever it is that really attracts you, strongly attracts you. 35 years ago, for me, clearly that was Hapkido. And my wish to go to Korea. My days were filled with the hope, the dream of going to Korea. In the meantime, I did all kinds of jobs to earn enough money, to save enough money to go and stay for a long time. I washed dishes at a restaurant. I worked in a retirement home at the worst department where the people are who can't take care of themselves anymore. I cleaned the toilets and the bathroom and everything in the weekend. And I worked at the airport cleaning. But I was happy. I was happy doing those things. Why? Because I had a purpose in my life. Because I knew why I was doing these kind of things. And this is something that most people are lacking. Even people with very high-level jobs, that make a lot of money and have a lot of status, they are unhappy. Why? They have no purpose. Their only purpose is to be rich. And that's the difference. It kills your spirit if you live like that. So better be poor and happy and knowing what you want and following that, than to be rich and unhappy and have no energy on higher level of consciousness to speak of. Life becomes colorless. You can see it as a bird, a tropical songbird with beautiful colors and a beautiful song. That is what we are when we grow up as children. Children are spontaneous, except Yubin. She was destroyed by her dad. But generally, children, still innocent and naive and playful, they are like this beautiful songbird with a beautiful song. But most children growing up into adulthood, after graduation, become serious about life and career and have family and what have you, they lose their colors and they lose their beautiful song. But those who have the courage to take the path, the road not taken, they keep their colors and they keep their beautiful song. And once you have experienced this, you cannot live without it anymore. I have tried. In my mid-20s, I thought, I have to live a normal life too. My dreams are just unrealistic, going to Korea and staying there for a long time. And being on the spiritual path, sometimes you doubt about what you're doing. But it made me lose my hair. I lost my colors, I lost my beautiful song. I became just a dead little gray bird. So I tried, I got stuck, and I just renewed I just got back. I just went back to what made me happy. I just went back to following my heart. And that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm still here after 26 years. How do you follow your heart? Do what you love doing. Pursue those things that make you enthusiastic. Yubin was a good example. When she did what she hated, her energy completely collapsed. But when she put on her backpack and going on her way to school, she started hopscotching and so happy. We need to start hopscotching towards the things that we really feel attracted to. That is what following your heart means. So, wanting is a shortcut, and it leads to the violation of all 4 previous yamas. Hope is a process of vision. Vision means that you know where you want to go, but you deeply understand you cannot get it tomorrow. You cannot get there tomorrow. There are many steps to be taken, one by one. You understand that you need a proper preparation, that you need to lay a solid foundation to get where you want to be. And in your vision, you understand that. That is where patience comes from. Patience is not something that you can learn from a book. Patience is a condition. You only have patience if you have some energy in the crown chakra to speak of, because it's directly courage, hope, patience is directly related to spirituality. So again, like I said before, is spirituality a luxury? No, it has many practical implications. It adds many wonderful characteristics to the human being that others don't have. I wrote here and highlighted grit. You understand grit? G-R-I-T? People who are successful, they say, I achieved. The only way to achieve success in life is through grit. That means to start out achieving your goal and continue doing so for the next 20, 30 years or so. That is grit. Very steadily, every day a little bit, year after year after year. That is grit. That is the only way to achieve big things. The only way to achieve success. Long-term effort, long-term dedication. Also, if you look at it, successful people, of course there are exceptions. There are some that are in their 20s and 30s, but successful people, people who have reached the top in their career or in politics, they're always in their 40s and 50s and even 60s. Why? They spent the last 20, 30 years building up through grit. That is what grit means. That is what we're talking about here. About having vision and then the courage to face all the challenges and obstacles, and knowing that you have to go through the steps for a long time to come to eventually get where you want to be. I also wrote there somewhere towards the bottom that desire blocks you and even can cause you to become sick. You know that babies who are completely neglected, they become sick? Babies have a very strong desire to be loved. Because to be loved means that they will be fed, they will be cleaned, washed, they will be taken care of. So that desire in a baby is very strong, stronger than in an adult, because they need that care. A baby that is neglected can even die from desire. If a desire is not fulfilled, it can kill. And in an adult, a very strong desire that is not being fulfilled can eventually lead to the development of cancer. Because cancer is caused by energy that is frustrated. So instead of circulating energy, energy is blocked and it starts to loop, and the loop of energy will then lead to the multiplication of cells that eventually becomes malicious, called cancer. I've also seen it in my dogs. When I came to Korea, after a couple of years, I adopted a dog. She died in 2018, 15 years old. She didn't get sick, just 15 years old, old age for a dog. She died. And, having a dog limits you in many ways. Travel and going out, because you don't want to leave them at home all the time. So you don't, I don't. So when she died, I thought, and also when she died, it was very painful to lose her. So I vowed never to have a dog anymore. But that is me. The universe had other plans. So when that happened also, and going through all this, I wrote at the top of my page here, life is not about what you want. Life is about what you have to do. And what I mean with that is, I vowed never to have a dog anymore. Then 6 months later, Pada appeared in the park. Pada is the first dog that I adopted in 2019. I didn't adopt him, I caught him in the park. In the end of December 2018, 6 months after my other dog died, I always walk in the park, so I came across this wandering dog, and I just felt attracted. I told you, following your heart means doing what you feel attracted to. So I felt attracted, I felt a connection. So I started going to the park twice a day with my red backpack with fresh water, snacks, canned food and dry food. And I would put that in a place where no people go. And I thought if I just keep feeding him, befriending him, he will allow me to take him home. And I continued to do that for 3 months. January, February, 2.5 months. December, January, February. And he never, there were other people also with dogs. There's a dog community. There were many other people also around that they helped me also. But he wouldn't let anybody touch him. He would take people's food, snacks, but as soon as you tried to touch him, he would immediately, like a wild animal, he would just immediately get away. So he became more and more attached to us. So he started crossing the busy road into the apartment complex. And that became really dangerous. And also the police and the fire brigade, people started hunting. Because he looks very scary. He looks like a wolf. Not so big, he's like mid-size, like a border collie. But he looks like a wolf. So people who don't understand dogs, they're scared. So everybody was calling the police and the government. And so at some point, I borrowed a cage, pohector. So put very delicious food inside. I stopped feeding him, and I asked other people to stop feeding him, so he becomes hungry. And I put origogi and samgyeopsal and all kind of delicious food in the cage. After 3 days, being hungry, he went into the cage. And I could take him, finally I could take him home. The thing is, it made me happy. I had sleepless nights, stress, lots of worries, but I had something to care for again. So I had vowed never to have a dog anymore, but the universe wants me to do. This is what the universe wants me to do. Or you can say this is what God wants me to do. So life is not about what you want. Life is about what you have to do. How do you know? You don't know. Until the day comes that you are required to take action. Now interestingly, his name is Pada. When Pada settled down after 2-3 months in April, I contacted the shelter where he came from to ask about his family, because I knew there was a mom and there were 4 puppies: Pada, Babi, Baby, Bibi, and Bebe. They gave them those names: Pada, Babi, Bibi, Bebe. Bibi and Bebe were already. Bibi went to Pochon and Bebe went to America. But I didn't know that at that time. I just knew there are 4, and so I contacted them and I said, "Can you show me photos of the other family members?" And without saying anything, they sent me like 50 photos and 20 videos of only one, Babi. So I said, "Don't you have photos of the other ones?" Then they said, "No, only Babi is left." They had photos of the other ones, but what they were trying to do is to get me interested in Babi. And that was Pada's purpose. Pada ran away because he wanted to go back to Babi. Bobby got sick. This is why I'm telling you this. Pada and Bobby were brother and sister, and since they were born, they stayed together for a year. Then Pada was taken away, and he went to Soldeipku family. After 4 days, Pada ran away. He was going back to the shelter because Soldeipku, Yoido Kongwon, shelter. If you look at the map, straight line. The Pada missed Bobby, so he was going back. He ran away, he was going back. Bobby got sick. Bobby became depressed. She didn't eat anymore. So when I went there to visit, she was so emaciated. You understand emaciated? 완전히 굶었어요. She was like a tiny little shrimp. And I think if I had not adopted her also, she would have died in a couple of months. Just from sheer misery because she missed Pada. And having a vision, being a yogi, I connected the dots. Pada ran away because he needs Bobby, and Bobby got sick and is dying because she misses Pada. And I took Bobby home after a couple of weeks, and they're so happy. And every morning I wake up with a purpose. I followed my heart. And I did the right thing. And it just enriched my life. I wouldn't even know what I would be doing now without Pada and Bobby. You know, it was so bad at some point, Bobby came home, but she's very seriously traumatized. So I couldn't touch her. I couldn't put a harness on and take her out, so I would only go out with Pada. But Bobby had a necklace around her neck, and she started gaining weight, and the necklace became tight, and her nails became too long, and I couldn't do anything. She was so scared, so scared. So people from the dog community, they contacted 세나게, 세상에 나쁜 게 없다, and they contacted 동물농장. And 세나게 first agreed to come and help, but then they hesitated. And then 동물농장, they came they came the next day, and they put cameras in my house to observe. And so for 1 week, cameras in my house looking at Bobby's behavior. And then after 1 week, the 전문가, the specialist, came and helped me to put Bobby on a leash. And since then, we can walk. So happy, those two. And Pada also, before Bobby came, Pada never accepted me. He just ate my food, and he enjoyed the warmth of my house and his mattress. But he would always sleep in my bedroom, but if I go into the bedroom, he would run out. Then when I'm asleep, he will come in and sleep next to me. But when I turn around or when I move, immediately he would run away. So he never opened his heart to me. Until Bobby came. The day that Bobby came, he was so happy. Then after he played a lot with Bobby, he lied down on his back and he let me touch his belly. And the next morning I woke up because he was licking my face. He understood that I brought Bobby for him. And he was so grateful for that. And you know, I mean, what is life about? Is life about what? Career, money? It's important, we need money. We have to pay the bills, we have to eat. But this is what makes me happy. It made me realize, and I realized that before also, life is not about what you want. If I do what I want to buy a Porsche. But I always make stupid jokes about Porsche because I won't have a Porsche. Why the hell would I need a Porsche? If you have a Porsche, you have to pay a lot of insurance. Every time you have maintenance, it costs like 3 million won. Ridiculous. But it's a wonderful car. It's one of the best cars in the world. If you look at the reviews, also quality-wise, it's just one of the best cars, a German car. But who needs a Porsche? I mean, It's just a burden. I can spend that money on Pata and Babi. I don't even have that much money anyway. So if I do what I want, I would just be very unhappy. If I do what the universe gives me, life has a meaning. Life has a purpose. It's not exactly what I want, no, but it's wonderful. But every day I wake up with energy, with enthusiasm, with a purpose. I not only made Pada and Babi happy, they make me happy too. Yeah? Follow your heart. When I was in the park and I saw Pada, I was determined to rescue him. Other people, they thought also he needs help, but nobody wanted to help, other than just give some food. And they told me also, in that year, 2019, I took a break. 1 year, I had a sabbatical, so to speak. Just for one, I just wanted a break. So I had no income. So people said, Ron, what the hell are you doing? You don't even have an income. You're gonna adopt the difficult dog? And and when I started talking about Babi, they said, oh no, you're crazy. Well, maybe I am crazy. But everybody admires Pada and Babi. Also the people that thought that I'm so totally crazy. I just did what I had to do. Not what I wanted to do, what I had to do. I hope you can understand that a little bit. Going to Korea also, that was not an option. It was something that I had to do. Thinking about giving up made me very, very unhappy. But in return, I had to give up my house. I had to leave my family behind, quit my job, leave the wonderful city that I lived in. But it was not an option, it was not even a question. I just did. And Korea is a great country too. And Korea has given me everything, basically, that I needed to grow, to develop, to manifest. That is what happens when you follow your heart. And all those other people, they stay behind. They don't grow, they don't evolve, they don't manifest. They're not really happy. About non-desire, it's not in the handout, but it's important what I explained in the beginning of this lecture. Desire is essential. It tells us what we need. But there's a lot of deception because we live in a commercial world and the marketing industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry that is completely designed to make you spend money. And how do they do that? By making you believe that you need something. They play to your instinctive desires. And many people, not conscious of how they are being manipulated, they will spend money. Often, not even money that they have, they will go to the bank for a loan so that they can buy something that they don't really need. And that is where it becomes dangerous. That is why it is important to understand the subject that we're talking about here, non-desire. How disruptive it can be if you're not in control or conscious of how desires can make you do things that disrupt, that destroy everything. But on the other hand, it doesn't mean that you should not allow yourself to have nice things. I mean, if you feel attracted to a wonderful designer handbag and you can afford it and you feel that it makes you happy to have it, why not? There's nothing wrong with that. But if you feel the need to have 10 or 20 handbags, then something goes off the rails. Then it doesn't work anymore. So a certain austerity is needed here. You want to have a beautiful dress, beautiful pair of shoes, or a Porsche. I mean, if you're rich and you can afford a Porsche, buy a Porsche for God's sake, if that makes you happy. You know, German cars are popular for a reason. But they're also expensive for a reason. German cars are built to enjoy. They're not just designed to drive you from point A to point B. They're designed to give you true enjoyment, joy to drive. You know what this means? People who drive German cars, their energy goes up every time they enjoy driving. Stupid, huh? Driving a BMW is spiritual. No. It gives people a certain joy. They were built for that. That is why they are much more expensive than a French car, or a Korean car, or a Japanese or a Chinese car. German cars are twice as expensive. If you can afford it, enjoy it. But if you can't afford it, and you're going to have one anyway, with a loan, then you're in a lot of trouble. A lot of people are in trouble because of this. So play with your desire is the message here. You don't have to live like a monk in a cave in the mountains with nothing, no possessions and anything. Some yoga teachers make you believe that that is what this means. No, we don't. That is not realistic in the world that we live in. Enjoy life, enjoy the beauty of life and the good things that life has to offer, but within reason. If it becomes an obsession, and if it causes you conflict with family members because of money issues, or because of money problem, because of loans that you can't repay, it's going to be very disruptive, and instead of giving you joy, it will just give you lots of misery. Play with desire, allow yourself good things, but also know when to say no. That is, non-desire means to say no when you're dealing with something that you don't really need or that you anticipate will give you a lot of misery. All right. Questions? Let's have a short break before we start with asana.